Bum, bum. Bing, and here we're live. It's Sam and Jenny, and we are doing the Martin Fowler morning's Scrum or stand up, or morning if you're in this particular time zone. Actually, Jenny, are you familiar with Martin Fowler? I don't know if you've heard his name. He's one of I think 17 people who originally signed the Agile Manifesto, which was this big reaction against big design up front, or against the civil engineering approach to software architecture and development. And he's also the author of there are a series of books on refactoring. In particular, there's a book called Ruby Refactoring, which you might enjoy at some point in the future. Yes. So yeah, just to go through the Scrum/stand-up things. I mean, I'm not standing up, so I guess Scrum is probably the right word. Let me find my little list of things that go on. Yes. So the big thing is, yeah, I've been at the Learning at Scale conference in Edinburgh this week. And that's just wrapped up. There's a lot of interesting papers there, a lot of interesting ideas. Actually, one of the most fascinating ones that I was hearing is that you can boost the completion rates in online courses for students from developing countries simply by asking them a few questions about their motivation and their aspirations at the beginning of the course. There tends to be this, you know, the people from the more developed countries have higher completion rates. So there was some fascinating stuff going on there. A lot of those things actually in the random, I posted them all into the random channel in Agile Ventures if people want to have a look at that. So yes, apologies for inconsistent stand-ups this week. Back to normality now. Big thing out of that conference is with Armando Fox, who's a course we run together, the Engineering Software as a Service. We're talking about doing a project class, an online project class with real customers. That should be fun. Yeah, I've got the client meeting for the projects there will be on Friday at 3 p.m. UTC. Yeah, and then so other big projects that I'm involved with, local support. Yeah, I've got Piotr and Maroen both doing lots of great work, more that I'm finding it difficult to keep up with because they're working so well. Yeah, so I need to review that. We're pushing up not having a client meeting. I'm gonna have sent the clients some email links to their work. Yes, and then we had a great website one. That's the Agile Ventures main site kickoff meeting yesterday. Yes, things basically ticking over there. Raoul doing great work, getting that all out. He seems to be having some trouble this morning with commits, so I guess we'll hear more about that from him later. Big thing for me really is this. I'm running the AV102 class. And week 2 needs to be released, and there's a lot of work to do. And yeah, so that's for training all of the teaching assistants for the online, massively open online class. So yeah, I'm not really blocked at the moment. It's all just finding enough time to get through it. Yeah. So how about you, Jenny? How's your? Well, often we do the struggles and successes. What are you struggling with, and what are the successes are you having this week?
In general, or related to Craft Academy?
Well, I think. Well, I mean, it's an open. Feel free to share. I'm interested in everything, but I guess particularly, the coding side, I might have more constructive advice to give. But yeah, whatever takes your fancy.
Yeah, no, I think my main struggle is that I'm doing too many things at once. Because I'm sort of leaving my job, but I'm still in the transition of leaving my job. So I'm sort of doing that, and then I'm in a development program, plus I'm running a non-profit organization.
Oh, really?
I'm doing Craft Academy.
Right.
And so I'm struggling with time, and I have 3 kids. So I'm sort of juggling everything. And what I learned this past week, I think, is that coding is really something that is best done uninterrupted for a longer duration. Because what I've been trying to do, what I do with a lot of things, is I squeeze in half an hour here and there.
Yes.
Just doesn't work because it takes me forever to get back to the mindset where I was.
Yeah.
And I forget, what I was thinking and doing, and it's not always the same thing. Sometimes your thoughts are longer than what you actually did, and then I find it really hard to go back and recalling exactly where I was. I think that's been my main learning actually this week, that I need probably rather than doing bits and pieces here and there, it's probably better that I just clear a day or 2 and coding and then maybe not do anything on the other day. So we'll see. I think that's my biggest thing. Then I found this really, really good article on Bloomberg that I'm sure you've read called What is Code? and that helped me a lot to get sort of the overall picture of this thing, because it's a field that's completely new for me.
Right.
I'm a fairly competent user of IT, systems and services, but I never understood how to grade them. It's a really long read. I recommend it.
Is that this one?
Yes. It's 40,000 words, I think.
Yeah. It's sort of a book, really, isn't it? Rather than
almost. But it helped me tremendously.
Excellent.
And it gives you fairly good picture of the components. So when you're new, I think it was very helpful.
Yes.
Plus, it also related everything to things that I recognized from my work. IT projects being delayed, never finishing.
Yes, absolutely.
And so you understand why that happens. So that's good. It's good for my understanding. And I think the only thing that's blocking me at the moment is time. So I'm trying to reconfigure my schedule to see if I can fit sort of longer periods together.
Right.
For coding, because it just doesn't work to do it in shorter spurts. It's worked fairly well. We'll see. And also, because I've been working on my own, I haven't done the pair programming exercises that we've been instructed to do, but there hasn't really been. I don't know. I think I'm sort of on my own because I'm in between the people who are up front and the people who are in the back. And then I've had issues with time, so it's been tricky. But I'm hoping to find someone to do that with next week, probably. Move on to the next challenge.
Yes, very interesting. Thank you for sharing all of those things. Yes. Well, I have some thoughts on various of the things that you said. If you're interested, one. I can relate. I also have 3 kids. Mine are 11, 7, and 7, and I also run a non-profit organization. How old are your kids?
11, 8, and 3.
Well, and the right. Gosh, yeah. I think that you're in a more challenging situation than I am then as regards the children, but I can certainly relate to that. And absolutely, for me, I think that the funny thing about coding is it sort of. I don't know, the computer can be like another demanding child in that it can just really suck up time. You can spend, hours really getting to grips with a programming challenge or an infrastructure or DevOps, any of these things. And I do find myself it's a bit ridiculous, really. I find myself organizing my life around trying to create spaces of time that are long enough to attack the bugs and the challenges of the coding. I mean, in some ways, that's a reflection. I think it's a poor design on the part of programming languages because, really, ultimately, the computer system should be as easy to use as talking to other people. Actually, although sometimes talking to other people can be quite complicated, but that's another story. But yeah, so I think, what I tend to do is, I have my own list management of like the things I need to do, and I probably won't attempt any of the coding things in the little blocks of time, and I'll be trying to do more administrative stuff. If there's like a free moment, I'll do administrative, and then save the blocks of time for So that's I think that's a great insight on your part. What's the non-profit organization that you run?
It's called Stockholm Plus Acumen, and it's a local chapter for Acumen, which is an American impact investment fund. So what they do is basically they invest philanthropic capital in entrepreneurs in the developing countries. The interesting part about it that I sort of relate to what you're talking about is that our main activities in Stockholm have been regarding knowledge sharing and facilitating specifically the online courses that Acumen provides through their platform Plus Acumen. And we've facilitated them, so we use them as like an online, offline, like a blended learning kind of thing.
Right.
And we've had a lot of fun with it. And I'm really, I think I've tried every kind of distance learning, and I really love the blended one. The offline, online thing is it's magic in a way.
Cool.
So it's been really cool, and I've been discussing a little bit with Thomas,
yes.
We have an interest in teaching kids how to program as well.
Right.
And we see there's a desperate need in Sweden because the schools are not keeping up. So it's something that there are many resources, but they're not good enough, and they're not supportive enough of parents who want to help their kids progress, because you can use Scratch and but I see that a lot of the kids, they tend to just get stuck doing the same things over and over again, and they never progress past that. And many parents are not, myself included, not competent enough to help them develop, and school is not doing anything. So it's it's an interesting, if I could do anything, I think that's something I would like to do more.
It's interesting because I had something like, also there's like Scratch and Alice and eToys, and I've for my own kids been through a host of different things. There's a very interesting book which is, I think, called Learn 3D Game Programming for Kids, which is I then used in some courses for students. It's interesting times. I mean, actually, though, for my kids, I've stopped trying to, and then I've got like what's it called, the Mindstorms robot and so on. I've kind of backed off from trying to get them coding, because I kind of feel like, they'll get that anyway, and I'm almost I put more of my effort into my kids doing sports and music and so on, because I kind of feel like they're maybe going to spend the rest of their life staring at a screen, and getting them more hooked on these things. I mean, they're quite. I mean, we allow them a certain amount of time, and they like Minecraft and like the Wii thing, and then, of course there's a Minecraft programming thing which I
learn to mod thing.
Yeah, for the mods and so on. Which, if I was really focused on getting their programming skills up, that I might be inclined to. Partly because I'm involved in all sorts of programming education. I feel like, at the time at which they say that they really want to learn programming, I'll be able to give them some. But I agree. There's maybe a gap there for something that's I don't know, that links all these things together, or provides a.
I mean, there definitely is, because there are many resources for kids, but what we can see here is that everything gets filled up real quick, and it doesn't. I think Coder Dojo is an organization that do volunteer-led. They do one week, and all the spots are always fully signed up within 3 minutes of the launch. And that sort of tells you that there's a need for something more.
Right.
And the schools are just not keeping up.
Yes.
I agree. If I was a programmer, maybe I would feel the same way. I'm just not sure my kids are going to pick up programming at home. Pick up other stuff at home.
No, absolutely. Yes. I mean, I displace my fear into, my wife's Japanese, and I want the kids. So I basically, I don't know. The funny thing is, at some level, I'm kind of like, I really want my kids to learn the things that they want to learn. Like, I would like them to be following this kind of Summit School or Summer Hill School, or this kind of like, the child only comes to learning, only learns things they want to. At the same time, I'm desperate for them to learn Japanese, so I put all this pressure on them to learn Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese.
Second.
We lived in Japan I lived in Japan for 6 years.
Oh, me too.
Love Japan.
Yeah, it's a
lovely country. But they should be able to pick up Japanese then.
Well, they do. We have managed to make Japanese the family language, and we do speak Japanese. But then it's the reading and writing, of which, I tried to learn to read and write Japanese as an adult, and it's like, oh my god, it's, the number of characters and all this sort of stuff. And so I'm sort of putting my, as I think we do, we displace our own fears of what we failed onto our children. And anyway, that's a but yes, very, very interesting. Well, we can talk more about that on another occasion. I just was going to mention, you were talking about the pair programming, and you said something about feeling that you're in between the people at the front and the back. And is that something that you're doing in terms of saying there are some people who are more advanced and some people who are not as advanced, and you're not sure where you
I think just in terms of the exercises where we are, some people are sort of running ahead, and some people are sort of not running ahead. We had some people join late, and some people had some technical issues.
Yes.
I sort of skipped by using a cloud service instead, so it's probably going to come back and bite me in the end. But
No, well, yeah. I mean, I think the interesting, we have. I mean, that is the general problem, I think, in boot camps, is that you've got people in different places, and what the approach that I have generally taken, and I think it's been successful, is one needs to have very strong pair rotation where everybody's pairing with different people, and it's kind of, there's a mindset which says if you're ahead, then you need to say this, accept this is not a race to get to the end of the material, because ultimately the material is all going to change. It's all about the way that you approach learning and working in teams. So if you think of it that if you're in a software team, you want to get the system delivered, right? But you're also, the other members of the team, you want to support the other members of the team who are maybe struggling, and you want to make sure that the knowledge about what you're developing is shared across the members of the team, and that for the next project that you do, that you're bringing the level of the whole team up, rather than it's like I'm going to get to the end and I win and everybody else is left in my dust. So I think that's an important mentality for the person who's a bit further ahead, to say, right, I am, even though I've got this thing, I'm going to step back and help you with what you're working on. And then there's also a mentality for the person who's a bit further behind, is to say, right, I'm going to be willing to get involved in trying to raise my game, rather than just saying, okay, well, you guys have gone off and I'm going to sit here working away on my own thing. I think in particular because actually for both parties, both the person who's further ahead and the person further behind, looking at and exploring the concepts, whether they're the more advanced ones or the simpler ones, together is incredibly powerful for actually getting those things into your head even faster and providing insights that you wouldn't get just studying it on your own. But that's another thing about traditional education, is they've got this idea that you sit on your own and you study it on your own, when I think once people have sort of put aside their fears and their egos and so on, they can have this amazingly exciting co-discovery experience that just makes learning much more fun, and actually it ends up being really valuable for the team as well. So anyway, that's my...
No, that's a really good point. I think what I mean is that nobody else has worked on the same challenge that I've been on, and then it's tricky to do the pair programming. Sure. And then I also knew that I was very tight on time this week. So
sure. Oh yeah, no. Well,
but yeah, no, it's a really good point. And I can very much see how stepping back is very helpful, because teaching and sort of supporting someone else is always very good for your, at least for your sort of conceptualization of the whole thing.
Yes, I mean, you're right. The time. This is the thing. We haven't yet worked out what's the time challenge thing. We keep on it. It always comes up as the blocker. How to manage, when you've only got little slices of time, and how to use them effectively, and how to get people, pairing. In some ways, that's the bigger picture of Agile Ventures as a kind of a pairing community that we continue to struggle with, and we continue to try and produce better support for, is how can we get the sort of community of people around the world so that they're available at the right time and they're in the right frame of mind and all of these things. It's a big open-ended problem. Yes, very interesting. Great. Well, lovely to chat with you, Jenny.
Yeah. Likewise.
Thanks so much for joining Stand Up, and they should be the morning ones now should be regularly going forward, although Monday's a bank holiday. But yeah, hope to see you again at some point in the near future.
Yes, likewise. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Take care. Bye for now.